Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wrestling fans. You're listening to the Wrestling Fans Insight Sunday Takedown. I'm your host, John Hoppy, alongside with my brother, William. Smile and wave to the camera.
I don't know if you're going to get a smile, but
Why not?
there you go. Maybe because I'm fighting a migraine right now.
Oh, nice. And I've got the light bright for you, so
I'll have to deal with it.
Oh, boy. Anyways, we also have Carlos in the house. How are you?
What's up, guys? I love the photo because that's how I always pictured William sitting with his arms crossed. That's like mood confirmed.
Well, usually he's pointed toward me like, can we just get this fucking show going, please? So
I don't.
If in between the broadcast, William, if you grab one of his belts and hit him over the head, I'll cash happy some cash. Just
there's definitely enough ammo.
Let's get some really good heel action going here.
Hey.
What? I'm not the one who put the belts there.
Well, but
Exactly. They're calling your name.
you don't need to listen to that asshole, though.
Use us.
We also have Brian the Hype Ballard. How are you, Brian?
I'm good, guys. Hey, I want to say you guys made it 12 seconds before you had a little banter, so that's good.
I know. Did we get a fine now? He should have started with you guys before me. He should know better.
Well, yeah, we should know better, but we're not going to ever know better. So, you know.
Okay.
We also have Stampede, the three faces of Stampede, depending which face we get today. How are you, Stampede?
It's a big, huge yeet from up here in the Great White North.
Stam Yeet. He's the fourth face. He's Stam Yeet today. That's the fourth face.
Same yeet. Yeah.
Stam
We
Yeet.
got-
Yeah, Stam Yeet. Yeah.
We got the Bloodline Stampede now.
Yeah, Stam Yeet.
No.
Is your entire family going to come attack us and everything? So, you know, we should be worried.
They'll ride down on polar bears. Yeah.
And I
But
heard
in Canada, is it Ye-A? Like Ye-A? You get the A, like A-A? Is that the end?
It is, yeah, but it's hyphenated, and then the A is in brackets.
Oh,
and Carlos, is Joe Michigan joining us today?
Who's Joe Michigan?
That's your alter ego. Remember you messaged me on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Conquer the No founder and creator.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to. I think I need to go back. Did it get deleted already? I forgot to go back and block that person.
Nah, he's still active in there.
well, I don't know because he apparently blocked me, but I also noticed you have my tag and Randy's tag in your bio, and he didn't have those tags in his bio, so that makes me wonder if he blocked me, and probably also blocked Randy as well. So it's kind of interesting to see how
Yeah.
some of these fake accounts come on and try to impersonate some of us.
I guess I'll just take it as I feel important now. I'm getting getting fake people.
I'm looking at it right now, actually. Still there.
Send
Still
me
following.
the username on X so I can just block it. It'll be easier that way, please.
I will.
I'm just going to assume I'm blocked because you're the nice guys of this bunch. So if you guys are blocked, I'm definitely blocked.
Well, apparently no, Brian's not blocked, so whatever. Yeah, Brian's the one that found it, I believe.
Oh yeah, no, he's the one that messaged me and was like, "Hey man," and I was like, and I looked at his profile, I was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Founder and president of Conquer." Then I was like, "Wait a minute," I was like, "Carlos, did you use an alias here?"
So Brian has to do a t-shirts up now. Joe fears Brian.
Anyways, guess enough of the Twitter nonsense, or I should say X nonsense. But we got a little bit of a show to discuss this week because wrestling definitely had yet another busy week. AEW had their Grand Slam week for the year. WWE is also getting ready to get their Bad Blood PLE going here next week. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the AEW's Grand Slam week here. If for those not familiar with how AEW does Grand Slam, oh, whoops, I switched that the wrong way. Should have just left it alone.
Mhm.
Having my bad monkey moment. But AEW had their Grand Slam, which was on all 3 shows: Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. And even though they didn't really highlight the Rampage matches as much, they definitely did on the Collision. And why don't we start off with Stampede, because he's really good with the breakdowns for AEW. But Stampede, why don't you give us your entire thoughts for Grand Slam this week?
Wednesday's show, this was like a tale of 2 shows. One was quite good, and Saturday's was not. Right? It's it was like 2 different people put them together, essentially. Wednesdays, let's see. Nigel McGuinness. For a man that's been out of the ring for as long as he has been out, he was moving pretty smooth in there. His strikes weren't the hardest, but from a wrestling aspect, this went quite well. So I was pleased with the match. I was glad I got to see it again, because I had seen them in Ring of Honor. Not something I ever thought I would get to see again. So I was quite pleased with that. Hook put on a good match with Roderick Strong. Another solid opponent for him. Retiring the FTW title was a smart move, because he was forever attached to that due to his dad. So retiring it's going to move him away from it, and it's going to set him on another different path, which is what he needed. Because I think he's ready to do it now. He's progressed enough, both as a character and in the ring and on the mic, to go to the next chapter of whatever he's going to do there. Match of the night, the Bucks versus Fletcher and Ospreay. That was incredible. I know some didn't like, because they don't like that style of matches, but these guys were firing on all cylinders in that match. Right, so I have no complaints with that. Mariah and Yuka, fine for what it was a little on the short side, but I think that was more done for the continuing story with Mina, which is where this is going. But there's a lot of extra elements going on with that one. And the Moxley Darby match, that was pretty much as advertised. Hard hitting, brutal, back and forth. Darby taking, a lot of hard bumps. Moxley delivering them. Given the storyline, the right person went over. So I had no real issues with night one. It was a good, enjoyable 2 hours. There's my thoughts on the night one.
You want to go ahead and talk about night 1 there, Carlos?
I thought it was like we're in at night 2.
I was waiting for him to do night 2, but
The thing,
I just didn't want to monopolize 10 minutes of airtime. I was going to give someone else a chance to talk. It's not
My
all about
biggest
me,
thing-
guys.
My biggest thing for this is, again, to me, like, I don't want to criticize a lot, because I feel like they're already correcting course. I feel like it's just a lot going on with AEW, especially when you come up from All In, All Out. Then you have Grand Slam, then you have this, and then you have the anniversary. They're already fixing it next year with having Grand Slam be in February. To me, the whole time I'm thinking, why didn't you just do Grand Slam next week and then have it be your anniversary show as well? I just feel like it was a circuit overload for me. I agree with Stampede. It was like a tale of 2 nights. I don't know. I sometimes I wish the crowd was more like WWE, where they're just trained to, like, oh, this is where you cheer. This is where you, because a lot of times it just felt dead in this. And the crowd reaction adds so much to the show. And there was just a lot of, because even like when the Bucks came out, they didn't get, those guys didn't get much of a reaction until the match started. And it's just kind of like, it's just because it just adds so much. And I feel like, just for me, the biggest thing for me was like, watching the show, it just felt like the crowd felt spoiled. Like they were just kind of like sitting on their hands, and they were really into the show. And that just kind of took me out of it. But yeah, as far as night 1 goes, I agree with Stampede. It was, again, as far as the Nigel thing goes, like we talked about it on our spaces, like sometimes it's about the talent. And for me, it was just getting to see them have that match made me really, really happy. But I just wish the crowd would have brought more to the show. But other than that, I mean, night 1 was great.
Brian, you want to give your 2 cents on the night 1?
Sure. And by the way, Stampede, great breakdown of that. The I look at it as I've realized that these AEW has done a good job with making these feel kind of like Dynamite Plus or Dynamite Extra, right? Like it's not a standard Dynamite. They feel a little bit extra and special, but not quite pay-per-view level shows, but almost like a in your house Saturday night's main event where you're getting kind of a little bit more. I like that they opened up with Bryan Danielson. I thought that was a good way to hook the audience in from prior programming on that network. Even though I just hate the world champion being in an open match on pay-per-views, right? But ultimately, I think it's okay to get them as a lead-in on your show. Overall, the night, one thing I'm starting to appreciate right now that they're doing is the consistency with telling stories throughout their whole programming. And I feel like everybody is on their programming for a purpose of a story. And I can see that kind of leading through, the whole programming. And I've noticed that for a couple of weeks now. And I've really kind of grown to appreciate that. It almost felt a little old school in that sense. So I think night one was a win. It had a little bit of every kind of different wrestling style that you could kind of want or kind of match. So a little something for everyone. And definitely very strong compared to night two, where night two, I really kind of showed up for one match myself, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. And Brian is right there because they did bookend it, right? Brian came out first and he was out last.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi.
You're up.
I don't know if there's a whole lot I can really add. It was an entertaining show. They did really well. I'm right there with Davey. The Mariah match probably was my least favorite, but Wednesday night was definitely better than the other two.
Yeah, Wednesday, it definitely was a little more well thought out. It was almost like Collision was kind of like an afterthought or something, but it was kind of a lot of, I guess you can say it was in the way you say, kind of stretching it out a bit. I think that's exactly what they did. But yeah, why don't we get a little more into night two? And let's start off with Davey again.
And I'm just going to touch on something on the Mariah portion there. Some people may not be aware of. There's an external storyline going on with that over in Stardom because Tony Storm is teaming up with Mina over there against Mayu Iwatani and Azumi. They wrestled this weekend. So they got to wait for that storyline to kind of progress to get to this storyline in AEW. So people that are waiting, just be patient. It's going to get there. That's kind of the reasoning why for that. Night two, my goodness. I was hyped for it, but I was disappointed in it as a whole. I did like the opening match though, Hayter and Saraya. I think this was one of Saraya's better efforts in AEW. The stipulation of the match, it hid her limitations that she now has in the ring with those styles of matches, because that's essentially what they're designed to do. It allowed her to play to the crowd, which she's very good at. They incorporated Harley very well into the match. The right person went over. So that match I didn't really have any issues with. The learning tree and the conglomeration. The match was just one of those matches that happened. Right? It was nothing special to it. Of note, though, was the ending, because Jericho pinned Mark, and then he did the "I want the title" sign. So it was Big Bill that put Mark through the table, and Big Bill a couple weeks ago gave Chris quite a side glance with something that Chris said. Right. So I think that portion of what went on there is going to be something to keep an eye on. It might be Chris going after the title. It could be. This could also lead to a Big Bill break and a Chris Bill program first. I'm hoping that's what they do, because Bill is over. Brody in action, Andretti. That was 1 minute and 42 seconds. So that was just, I don't know what that was. I don't even know why it was on there. Minoru Suzuki was the surprise opponent. I don't really have an issue with Minoru. The guy is a legend, but trotting him out there every time to lose his best before date has passed. Right, so they gotta they gotta, if they're gonna get him in there, they gotta get him some wins, right? Because if not, it's just the same result over and over again. But like with the big Bill and Jericho thing, it was what happened afterwards and who came out, which was Shibata. So it looks like Perry's next opponent is going to be Katsuyori Shibata, which I have no problem with, right? The Trios Championship, not a great match, but an interesting story told within it, right? I think Carlos will like what I'm about to say. Mark Quinn looked really, really good in this match. I liked their new kind of presentation and how and the path that they seem to be on. It seems to be a much more focused one and a much more serious one. So continue on with that, because that's tied into the Moxley thing, right? And the character work from Wheeler Yuta in this, in even Claudio and Pac too, but Yuta especially, right? Like, he should be applauded for what he's doing in this storyline. So I still don't know which way he's going, whether it's with Brian or whether he's going to, turn heel and side with Pac and Claudio. So very interesting character arc for him. Paige and Jeff Jarrett, that was entertaining, right? And it was a nice little variation on a strap match, like with everybody outside of the ring having the strap. So that was kind of interesting. Jarrett still delivers, even at in his mid 50s. But once again, end of the match, right? This is going to now set up an Adam Page and Juice Robinson little match on Wednesday, which I'm quite intrigued in, just due to where this could potentially go, because we know who Juice's friend is, which is Jay, who should be back soon, and we know Jay White has a long history with Adam Page, so kind of stay tuned for that one. And the Okada Sammy match did not deliver even in the vicinity of what I was expecting, so I was disappointed in that match. So all in all, not nearly as good as the first one. There was more disappointments on it as far as hits, and whatever that maximum male model segment was, don't do that again. Too long, wasn't funny, just didn't hit. The only thing that good came out of it was the jacket, which did look nice, right? But just don't do stuff like that. Wrong crowd, right? Wrong, that belongs, stuff like that would suit somewhere else. It would go over like gangbusters, but not in this particular promotion. And that's my thoughts on that one.
All right, Carlos.
I mean, the thing is, the reason why Stampede and I make a good team is because we complement each other as far as I'll be more forgiving with WWE where he's more critical, and he's more forgiving at AEW where I'll be more critical, and I think it's a good balance. To me,
I did forget one. No,
go ahead.
Hologram, Jalistico, and Beast Mordos. That fucking rocked, man. Right? Give me more of that
ending.
stuff. Right, and the ending. Give me more of that too. LFI, right? Whatever they did to get that moniker back, hats off to them.
But what about Don Callis? That's my thing, though. It needs to be. We need to have a good flow. They need to address that kind of stuff.
They do. They got to address it. So they might back. I hope they address it.
But it should have already been addressed before. That's my.
Yes, it should have. Yes, yeah. But as long as they do it, just fix it, tie up that end. But if that's all they got to do, I'm fine with that pairing. That pairing will work gangbusters. So carry on.
So we talk about, right, again, AEW is for sickos, but they need to cater more to try to get casuals in, and that's where I feel like there's so much more potential that isn't being tapped there because they're not trying to cater to those casual fans. And for me, the thing about the thing about Sarai that was great, and again, I'll take this from Fightful, but they're sure talking about that people need to give her more credit because she's so good about reading a crowd. And the fact that the crowd wasn't into it, and she does those little things like Stampede was saying to get the crowd into the match, that's someone that you want on your team. And again, maybe her wrestling isn't there anymore, but what she brings to the roster as far as that, being able to read a crowd, doing the little things to get them back into a match, that is priceless. My thing with Jack, I'm gonna just cover certain things with Jack Perry. he's over. He deserves to have proper feuds. Having these little one-offs is just bullshit. You know, if you wanted to have Brody King on the card so much, you should have had Brody King fight Jack Perry instead of these two stupid matches. Like if you feel the need to have that guy who's on your card so bad, then put those two in a match. You know, it's like, and quit. And then my biggest thing too was after seeing this whole card, like, and again, like every company has its problems, but for me, when Tony's booking that many matches on Collision, why didn't he feel the need to put one more women's match on there, you know, instead of all these men matches? And for me, it should have been a woman's what do you call it, the Gauntlet Stampede thing, like they do the new match and then having Mercedes out there again. Now I'll be critical of that. After you have Mercedes there, you didn't even put her on camera. Like I would have done the women's Gauntlet Battle Royal match. I would have had Mercedes at ringside. That would have made the crowd live up. When you're booking these kind of shows, and again, like I get it, but at the same time, it's like when you're going to keep a crowd there for 4.5 hours or 5 hours, you gotta give them matches that's going to keep them into it. And that was my biggest thing, is just I want more energy out of the crowd, but I can't blame them for being dead when you're giving them this kind of garbage, you know. And then that's the thing, like even with Jericho and those guys, I don't want to see Jericho going after Briscoe. To me, that's punting the ball. Like I'd rather see Briscoe get more feuds. Like put Jericho and those guys in the trios division to where it keeps them, helps elevate the other guys. It can keep them there. And then like the whole thing I said before, like the whole Don Callis, like what about Don Callis? You know, like that's just those little things matter in pro wrestling storytelling. And the thing with I did like the Wheeler thing, because again, we don't know where he's going. I think he's going to turn heel. Like that's what I think. But at the same time, I do like Private Party, but it's just to me like, why isn't it Scorpio Sky with those guys instead of Commander? And I get that that's what the thing, but you did a thing on Rampage weeks ago teasing that Scorpio Sky was going to go with these guys, and then you didn't. There's no payoff for it, and now we're getting with Commander. Just those little things like that matter to me. And for me, again, I get it. You're giving the crowd, you're trying to have these guys on card, but do it in a way that's going to keep people enthralled in the show. Like make it feel like a pay-per-view, really, not just like, oh my gosh, can this get over with already? I'll land my plane there.
Do you need a hug now?
No, I'm good. I was just
okay.
Just disappointed. And then also too, like again, two things I said, but the MXM thing, like that was garbage. You're editing this. Don't be afraid to cut it out and then just do a backstage segment instead. And the other thing too, I would say is the thing with the technical difficulties between when the Hangman match that took me out of the match. And again, there's no excuse for that when it's a pre-tape show. It's got to do better than that, guys.
And speaking of technical difficulties, we lost Stampede for a little bit. I'm sure he'll be back. So,
how dare you?
it won't be a Sunday takedown without something going wrong for us. But Brian,
difficulties, yeah.
Brian, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, so I kind of want to start this out with my approach to AEW Collision became a little bit different.
Side girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite there, but it is and I want to be clear, not AEW product, not AEW Dynamite. That's, kind of must-watch TV for me. AEW Collision is standing on top of a trap door, and when I turn it on, my finger's on the button. And if I like what I see, I keep letting them perform. If I don't, I hit that button and they fall through the trap door and I go to the next match, right? And I usually give it a few minutes and I'm like, all right, it's not grabbing me. Or if I don't care about that person and what they're doing in that match, I'm like, nope, let's get to next, because I'm just like prioritizing my time, right? So for Collision, I will say there's one wrestler that gets my attention, and that's definitely Hologram, right? Everything he's done that I've seen, this guy has a way of he drew me into his product and what he's doing. It gives me a reminiscence of what Mysterio did back in the day on WCW Nitro, where he was in that middle card role and he was just new and exciting to watch, and it drew me in. And I'm doing the same thing with Hologram, which is taking me down the rabbit hole of watching more Beast Mordos and all these guys. And that match was amazing and definitely my highlight. A couple other things, I watched and I stayed with it, and then I was like, and then I moved ahead. And then there was some that I was just like, get off my TV, and then I just zipped right through. Sometimes picture in picture takes me out of it too. And I'm like, all right, moving on. The match isn't grabbing me. So overall, there definitely is a difference between Dynamite and Collision. I know you're probably not getting as many people on a Saturday night, right? But we do live in the day of where people watch it recorded and, you know, watch it afterwards. But for me, it was really the hologram match was if I was to tell somebody check out Collision last night, I'm only telling them to watch that match. And that's about, you know, the main thing. And like I said, you can YouTube highlight the other stuff or check out some, you know, quick videos of it online. But other than that, that's kind of where I'm at with Collision. And I'm actually pretty comfortable with that. And, you know, hopefully they'll up the ante a little bit. But for right now, it's kind of my overall take.
Can I just say something real quick to that? With Brian, like just with what you just said, Brian, though, and again, just some food for thought. With the roster that they have, it shouldn't be like that for Collision. Like it should feel like must watch TV. Even if you have a small audience, try to build that audience. You know, they have the roster to do it. Do it.
Yeah, and I feel like my viewing of that is I'm almost representing that casual audience, right? And
that's great. That's a good perspective. Yeah.
So I kind of almost like it for talks like this because I'm like, okay, I am the casual Collision guy, you know, where I will watch Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite religiously, you know, and it's hard for me to turn that off. So,
and I just like to point out the gimmick change we got of Stampede. You know, when he came back, we got another face.
I've now teleported back to the early '80s, and I am now Bruiser Brody.
He's gonna go on. He's gonna Outrunners rant for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Back when brother.
Well, you mentioned how much you liked Brody King, right? And that bark that he does is a call out to Bruiser Brody. So
for sure.
There you are, Carlos. I got bounced from the internet just for you.
All right, cool.
Just so everyone's keeping track, we now have the second face of Stampede.
Yeah.
The third one will be here with us shortly. So, Will, do you have any thoughts to add on to the Collision?
Nothing to add. They pretty much already covered it. There were a couple of ooh-ah matches for me for that night, but it was mostly just kind of a waste of my time.
Yeah, I think really just the three-way match between Beast Mortos, Dralistico, and Hologram. That single-handedly was obviously the best match of the night. But really, as far as everything else, it just did not meet expectations like it should, especially when you try to promote it as one of your best programs for the year. It just was not there. And like Stampede mentioned earlier, obviously, Dynamite took the cake. It was pretty solid. I would say more in the B+ A- range right there as far as going like letter grade. But did anyone
I had another comment. I think I was just about to say it before I was bounced into the internet vortex. It was just on the Jack Perry portion. Jack does have a story in the can ready to go. It's just the guys that are going to be running that story, they're not back yet, right? So,
but at the same time, though, they could do another story up until then, though. You know, like they got plenty of.
But if you connect from Suzuki to Shibata, and then if Coda and Kenny, from what they posted today, Coda specifically said he will be back in AEW very soon. So they run from Suzuki to Shibata to Kota. There's your connection to that. Just be patient with that. Right? We all know that's coming because Perry was the one that took Omega out. I'm more interested in that than just doing a throwaway story. But that's just my own personal preference.
But I get what you're saying. But at the same time, they could do a good, nice little 2-month feud for him too. They have the roster for it instead of just doing these. And again, when he's as hot as he is, he deserves that, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do it now. You would have
not
done
now,
that.
but I'm just saying before. But again, like could have just a bigger match. You know, again, just food for thought.
Yeah, like if they knew Kenny was okay, how long do you figure you're going to be out? X amount of time. Say, okay, we can run a story this long then with this person, right?
But again, I don't think he was. He wasn't the original fan either because Copeland was a champion before he got injured too. So.
All right, we're gonna take just a 30-second break here as we get ready to reset in our next topic. Give us 30 seconds here. We'll be ready to go.
am Chris.
And I'm Deb.
And we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today We Laughed and Learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything. Experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next subject. This is the one that's been buzzing since Monday night because I think for the majority of the IWC, it was probably more of a, I would say 75-25 deal here. Nobody was really expecting it to happen, but Jey Uso ends up becoming the new WWE Intercontinental Champion. I'm just going to give a couple of thoughts that kind of throw me off with this. One, I have a hard time understanding why you would book Braun Breaker to be this dominant guy to come in and just, wins the championship off Sami Zayn, and then in 2 title defenses loses the championship. In some ways, I kind of feel some injustice to Braun Breaker, but I mean, to me, they really should have just had Jey Uso defeat Gunther for this championship if they were going to go with this route. But again, I'm not the expert. I'm just a wrestling fan. Why don't we start off with Brian on his thoughts with this new championship direction?
Sure. I'll say the one thing I liked about it is they did feature the Intercontinental Championship in a main event on Raw. I appreciated that. I feel like that maybe that was a little of the AEW effect. I mean, I know, in the past weeks, they've featured different championships in their main events on Dynamite, which that's fine. I mean, if it works, it works. And I appreciated that. I was like, cool, makes the championship stronger. The Uso winning, I wasn't really overly mad about it. I was like, oh, cool. But then I found myself saying, well, what's the plan? Where do we go from here? And I don't know what that answer is. I don't know if it turns into a hot potato with the title, which normally I'm against, but if it's booked right, I think you could do it with these 2 guys coming out stronger. I don't know if that's a best of series thing or what it could be, but I guess long-term, what's the plan? And then if they do tie into the Bloodlines story somehow with Yeet, is he going to show up with the championship on his shoulder to make him look a little bit stronger and like he's doing fine? And I don't know if that was the idea, was to show he's doing just fine. He's just popping over to help out at War Games and then maybe back out. And I'm speculating, obviously. So those are kind of my initial just raw thoughts on Monday Night Raw and kind of where we go from here. And I'd be interested to hear your guys' takes on that.
Sorry, I had my mic muted. Why don't we go to Dave? Why don't we go to Davey on his thoughts?
Oh boy.
I'll be nice, Carlos, but I am not a fan of this at all. To go back to what Brian was saying there, like, you have a guy in Braun Breaker who was the future of that company. He was booked like a complete badass coming into it, right? You gave the title to him for a month, and you transitioned it over to essentially a guy that is over about as much as you're going to be over in that promotion, right? Due to a catchphrase. Sure as hell ain't his in-ring work, right? That spear that he threw to Braun, like, I've been hit harder with a pillow, right? I would not have done that. From all accounts that I'm hearing, they're going to flip Braun's face. So where that's going, I don't know. So where does the title go with Jey? There's been talk of Dom. So that would go from bad to bad, as far as from any in-ring perspective goes. What I would have done here is waited till you got Jey over to SmackDown and then send him after Night at some point, because they have a history. If everybody remembers their epic promo of Yeet and Yeah that went on for a few minutes. Oh no, I'm not a fan of anything that they did there. None of it. But that's just me. I'm not a huge fan of their booking style.
All right. Let's go with the angry gay bitch here.
I'm just, my thing is, let's quit giving them so much like kudos for like long-term storytelling. Because again, like, so the things that came out this week, right? So the guy who's in charge of the special effects for the Wyatt Six reveals that their their introduction back to the main roster came together in 15 minutes, right? So again, you knew this faction was coming for months. You didn't plan anyone for them to fight against. You didn't do anything proper, and it's like, and then the way you booked it, and you did these things, you fed him Chad Gable. That was all decided on in 15 minutes. Okay, great. You know, again, Jey Uso should have been Money in the Bank. That was the original plan. They were going to do Yeet in the Bank. You freaking had a catchphrase done from already, but then Creative decided that they didn't have any anything planned out for him, so they pivoted to Drew and Punk. When someone wins Money in the Bank, I do believe they have a year to cash it in, right? So again, just you could have put it on him and figured it out later, but you guys just fumbled the ball. My thing is just,
and to go to what you're saying, how do you not have a long-term plan for pay-per-view that has been booked long-term? You knew a year ago you were having this pay-per-view, right? How do you not have a plan for the men's portion of it to win it? Like,
and you had a guy going around saying Eat in the Bank the whole time, like, and it's like, and he was so over then. So like, again, so because you fumbled the bag there, now you have to go and do this. And like, I was like, and I asked the question before, like I was asking on our space, would you rather seen Jey Uso versus Sammy and a friendly, like, you know, and you kind of have a kudos to like Brett versus Davey, you know, two good friends fighting over a title, or see Braun versus, you know, Jay? I would rather see Sammy. So again, if this was the original plan, should just kept the belts on Sammy. My guess on all this, and again, my thing is, again, WWE being WWE, is I think they're going to stretch out the Bloodline War Games till next year. And so I think the plan was, because again, we talked about this too. They originally talked about Sammy and Jay going after the tag team titles. Then they just dropped that all of a sudden. So I feel like the Bloodline War Games is not going to happen until next year. And this year is going to be Roman and Friends, because again, it's just that's my feeling that I get, is that they're going to keep extending this shit out for another year. And so they just change course, and now they're just trying to fix everything, because again, they don't stick to what they're going to do, and they don't really stick to their plans.
I'm just going to add a quick comment to that to help that out. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? That was my thought recently on this storyline.
No, and I guarantee you that's what they're doing now, because they're realizing these guys aren't strong yet, so we shouldn't put the super team together. So they're gonna literally, I guarantee you, they're gonna stretch out the Bloodline versus Bloodline for another year. So we won't see that War Games till next year.
And it's like you see online occasionally. It's like, how do you see this bloodline story ending? It's like, I don't.
Never.
Like, it's not going to. Like, I'll be long dead, and this will still be going on.
I mean, again, you're trying. Go ahead, guys.
I was just gonna say, I guarantee you, we'll probably get to a point where it's Grandpappy Roman and his grandsons versus some, variation.
Yeah, they're just gonna keep, exactly. They're just gonna keep recycling. When Roman goes out, they'll have Jacob, and then they got.
I guarantee you, they're like, you probably had Roman. You probably had Roman and Paul and Paul's ear going, listen to the ovations Roman's getting. We let's wait till next Survivor Series to do this. Like, again, we don't need these guys yet. We'll just do this. We'll do Jimmy and Cody and these guys. But again, the one good thing out of this is looks like I'm finally going to get Randy versus Cody, which I've been waiting for like the past fucking year. But they have to do it all through the bloodline. It's just like, oh my God, guys, can we move this on? Again, if we get Kevin Steen in AEW, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
And who else? And who's another guy that everybody's screaming? Why isn't he in WWE yet? Why isn't he?
He's not even ready yet.
Zilla Fatu, right? So I mean, it's just going to continue on, right? But it doesn't matter. Like, they just want him there. It doesn't matter how green you are, because the in-ring aspect of what they do there is not.
All right. Do you have anything to add to that, Will?
It'll just continue the story. It'll just go on. Great for people that are into it, right? They're set for the next decade or so.
There's
We're not
not
telling lies.
there's not
You
a
keep
ton
going in and out a little bit.
to add here. I'm really good with Braun Breaker. Love him. I'm okay with Jay. This feels like if they were going to make this move, they should have done this with Jay a long time ago. So the timing is way off, and it just kind of jumbles everything.
Well, I mean, especially the way they've been booking Braun. It's just,
This was just foolish.
yeah. I mean, usually I can defend WWE on a lot of things. This one, no.
Yeah.
it was terribly done, I think. It just baffled me, but again, maybe we'll see where it goes. For me, it's hard to even think the possibilities of what they're going to do here for Jay and his title reign, or who knows, we may even see Braun Breaker win the championship back in a rematch. I don't know. I guess right now, all we can say is we're going to have to play the patient game to see what direction.
Let it play out.
Yeah, what direction are they going to go with Braun? What direction are they going with Jay? I really hope it's not going to be where Jay drops it to Dirty Dom, but again, you never know what's going to go on with the company. So
I have a fun idea for that. They're going to get an Ancestry.com sponsorship, and they're going to find out wrestlers are Samoan heritage, and it'll keep it going, and we won't even realize that Cody Rhodes was Samoan all along. And yeah.
But again, but I think it's because of all the smoke about not booking any black wrestlers. When The Rock comes back, they're gonna have to put him with the little black sting back on, like he's back in the Nation of Domination, because they need a black superstar. so they have to pivot off the Samoan part for a minute for a year.
all right, we're
And
going.
the reasoning for the Dom was like, well, it'll get some credibility back to the Judgment Day. They already have tag titles. That's not working. And they already have Live Guts titles. That's not gaining them any more credibility either. So what the fuck would Dom do? Carting around another title, right? Fix it, right? They got enough people on the roster to fix it with. Dragon Lee, Elia, Braun. Like, they got good wrestlers there. They should use them.
And want to give a shout out to Miami DeGreat. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to follow him on X. He does a really great X space on Fridays. Give him a follow if you haven't. Also, we had a comment from Roxanne on, hey, what's going on in the All Elite? Thank you guys for joining us. Why don't we go ahead and we're going to take yet another little break here. We're going to as we come back, we're going to get right into our WWE Bad Blood PLE predictions. And I want to give a big shout out to Brian for coming up with that little video for us. So if you're creeped out, don't come at us, come go at him. So we're good.
Sorry if I scared anybody away.
Yeah, we got WWE Bad Blood coming up this Saturday on the Peacock Network or whatever channel you guys can watch it on. Some of you, I don't know, are they still on pay-per-view channels anymore?
I don't believe so. I believe they've removed that a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I thought they did because I know a lot of the pay-per-view suppliers were not happy with WWE when they went to the network. So, but anyhow, Bad Blood is coming up. I think there's still going to be one more match added to it. We'll get to that toward the end. But why don't we go ahead and it's not in any particular order. We're going to start off with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Obviously, both competitors have had quite the little turmoil there. We've seen the build up for quite some time. Well, not so much the build up, but so much I guess you can say the conflicts going on with the old Judgment Day members. But anyways, William, let's start with you. What's your thoughts on how this one's going to go and who's going to walk out victorious?
Okay. So obviously, as was discussed before, Judgment Day really isn't doing anything great right now.
No.
So they could really, really use the win. And I think they are going to go with Finn Balor coming out on top.
All right. Let's go to Carlos.
Boo! I'm just mad that we got one half of the tag team champions in a singles match on a PLE. I'm gonna go. I want to see Balor win because I want to see him elevated, but I think Priest takes it.
Oh, Brian.
So kind of the same narrative. If I would like Balor to win, but I'm almost convinced at this point of if I was to bet on who the WWE values more and values building up more in the next, let's say, 8 months. It's the guy that was the former world champion and that they already gave a mini push to, and they tested his boundaries. And so I'm going with Damian Priest in this one, just for another notch in his belt as he progresses in his career.
All right. Stampede.
I'm going to go with Damien in this one, just due to what's going to happen in other areas of this show that they're putting on. I doubt it will be a clean win, but I think Damien does take this.
I would say with all the momentum that's been going his way lately, winning the World Heavyweight Championship, former United States champion, former tag team champion, recent winner of the...
What was that?
It was Stampede. He's got some background noise going.
The train is back.
Yeah.
He's on his lawn telling kids to get away.
His polar bear's riding north. No, sorry, I muted him a little bit so we could keep that background noise down a little bit. No, I think with the momentum they've been having with Damian Priest, I think that would be the safe bet is he will come out the victor. They're going to push him a little more. And thank you, Miami the Great and Final Boss Lady. Appreciate your support coming on. To me, it just wouldn't make sense to give Finn Balor the win. So why don't we go ahead and move on to the next match we have for the Undisputed Women's Championship. Champion Nia Jax is going to be defending against Bayley. Let's start off with Stampede on who he thinks coming out victorious on this.
In the continued effort to continue to annoy me, WWE will have Nia Jax win this match.
Carlos?
First of all, this is Nia Jax. How dare you? I'm on an island. I think I have one. I think I have Dev. I think in our chat, he likes Nia Jax too. I think we're a small group. Again, is she the most sound person? No, but I am gonna just try. I like her. I think Nia Jax retains. To me though, I would rather see Naomi in this match. Like I said on our friends pod on our friends thing yesterday. I hope that Naomi's enjoying those direct deposits that are coming in every 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm definitely taking Nia Jax to keep this title. Because I'm paying them. I'm paying the money to keep annoying Stampede. It was me all along.
Careful, the third face of Stampede's going to come out here, and we don't know which one it will be. Brian, let's get your thoughts.
Yep, Nia Jax will be my pick. However, more tension between Tiffy Time and Nia as they figure out their friendship.
William?
Right there with what Brian just said.
Perhaps if they had a bracelet, they could figure it out.
Are you guys interested in the tension though? Like that's the question I have for everyone else. Like, are you guys interested in this tension between the women?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think everybody already seen this coming. I mean, especially the minute they join forces, and and we already saw right away. Well, just before Nia was about to take that championship off Bailey, Bailey was about to throw a wall in between them with Tiffany's Money in the Bank contract. I would think this is going to be pretty much almost, if it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen very shortly. We're going to see little Miss Barbie end up backstabbing Nia and end up winning the championship or cashing in and losing. Either way. So
the backstage segment on SmackDown, I thought did a really good job of just quickly pushing that idea.
Right. And I just don't see a sense why they would have why they would have Bailey win the championship when the story is now focused on the friendship of Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, like you've mentioned, Brian. So I think with the conflict there's just, again, no sense to move that championship right now.
Do we think they're holding off?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, do we think they're holding off on Tiffany because she is going to take the title off of Nia? That's obvious. Do you think they're holding off until they know when Charlotte is going to be ready to come back? Because they're not going to run a storyline that Charlotte is going to be involved in that is not going to involve a title. Because I can't remember the last time that they did.
I would say that Charlotte would definitely be in the play there. I could see Tiffany getting the title and just having a nice little run, building herself up and building herself as the face of the WWE and one of the all-time greats, and then maybe lead into that after a few months with Charlotte.
What's your thoughts, Carlos?
I just wanted to ask you guys, because I've been seeing this online. I'm like, I can't wait for Tiffy to be a face. I'm like, she's a natural heel. Do you guys have any interest in seeing her be a baby face out of all this? I don't. I want to see her as a
Zero.
No.
Thank you. All these fans like, I can't like she has a bitch. She's the total bitch. Like she's a Barbie bitch. Like why would you want that as a baby face? Come on.
First time I seen Tiffany, my first thought, not a world lie, was, well, aren't you just the annoying little one?
Exactly.
And that has continued on. So they finally got some consistency going on, which is good. So there we go.
Yeah. Anyways, why don't we move on to the WWE Women's World Championship? Liv Morgan is going to be defending against Rhea Ripley with the stipulation of Dominic Dirty Dom being locked in a shark cage. We know how this is going to go, I think. Just because you locked up Dirty Dom doesn't mean you locked up the rest of Judgment Day. So,
Dominic's going to frog splash Rhea from the top of the shark cage. Duh.
Why don't we start with you, Will?
I don't think it's the right time for them to move that title off of Liv to hand over to Rhea. There's really no point right now. So I do think Liv's coming out.
All right. Carlos?
Our friend Simon just got happy out of nowhere because that comment went on the atmosphere of Liv holding the title. But no, I agree. Once they put Dominic in the cage, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're going to continue the story. And I'm sorry, I want this over with already. To me, I just don't, the way they booked Liv hasn't been as a credible champion. I'm ready, and that whole women's championship since it's been made. I mean, when Rhea had it, she was just Liv's manager. You know, it's just hasn't been done well. It's just that title deserves better. That roster deserves better. But definitely they showed their cards when they put Dominic in the cage. Liv's retaining.
Brian?
Yeah, I also see Liv retaining. I'll take kind of the other side of it. I do like the storyline. I don't know how much more they can squeeze out of it, but I think for now it does live for another day until the next maybe 2025, early 2025.
I see what you did there with Live for Another Day.
Right?
But
Well, we move on to Stampede with his prediction.
I don't want to sound repetitive here, but in an effort to continue to fucking annoy me to no end, Liv will win this. Like, it's going to go on and on and on, probably till Mania. Like, this is just one of those never-ending stories that I have little to no interest in. It's not going to be a straight-up win. We all know that. I'm going to guess Raquel is going to come out and help her.
Yep.
So that's why I picked Priest to win earlier, because I think Rhea loses this one, and I don't think they have both of them losing on the same card.
So, can I ask how you really feel?
I'm not sure what rating this show would have to go to for me to truly convey my feelings for this particular storyline.
Well, we already mark this show explicit every time because Carlos can't control himself anyway.
Yeah,
so
but
you know,
you can't control. You always poking the freaking bear, even
exactly.
if
He
it's
started.
oh man, everyone's ganging up on the fat kid here. This is messed up.
I'm one of those careful the questions you ask, because you will get an honest answer. It's just oftentimes not what you like.
Mm.
But yeah, I've had no interest in the storyline since it began, due to where it was drawing its inspiration from. And I'll leave it at that.
So,
All right. So I think with that said, so far everyone's pick and live. I kind of have to touch on Davey's point back from when we were talking about I think it was Davey that pointed it out when it came down to the Intercontinental Championship being possibly passed on to Dom. Yeah. So if they do go that route, I don't see a sense why they would take the championship off Liv, and I can really see WWE doing that. I think it makes more sense to have Rhea still keep hunting for the championship. So I'm going to go with Liv Morgan, as much as it's going to irritate me, as like Davey said. Well, like Davey's mentioned for himself, I should say. But let's go on to the Hell in the Cell match. This is everyone's favorite here because it, everybody's favorite bracelet storyline going on. We have Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I believe this is their rubber match. Is that correct?
yes.
Yeah. So why don't we start with Brian on this one?
This, I'm looking very much forward to this matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like this is the big payoff match. I feel like this is, and I want to applaud CM Punk and Drew McIntyre for building a really good feud in 2024 without Punk necessarily having to be there or in the ring. And a lot of that, warrants on Drew McIntyre and just kind of the talent he is. I see this match ultimately, it's going to end up being CM Punk as my choice for the win. I just feel like the WWE wants to tell that story. They want him painted in that light. Not necessarily the way I would go. I like to invest in guys like Drew McIntyre that are still kind of in the middle of their career and, can still be a face for the company. But I will go with Punk as the pick. And I believe that, this should be the end of it. This is the payoff, the Hell in the Cell. I believe that this match, I don't want your guys' thoughts, but I know I'm always a stickler for the championship should be in the main event, but I feel like this is one of those situations where this should be in the main event of a Bad Blood Hell in a Cell theme pay-per-view, and I don't feel like a tag match should be in the main event, but that's just kind of a side note to this point.
I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just have a feeling the tag match is going to be the main event.
It's already been said.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you got a cage match, make that son bitch the main event. I mean, because shit's going to get wild with that cage match more than anything. But why don't we move on to Carlos?
I mean, Punk's again. I mean, again, I know. I mean, Davey hates Punk. For me, it's like I'm. Again, I just think he's a selfish person. But at the same time, I'm glad to see this run in WWE because I mean, again, I feel there's so much bitterness in his heart that hopefully this can bring him closure. But at the same time, he's fake, and I don't believe anything he's gonna say in reality. But at the same time, this match is
Davey's not selfish.
no CM Punk. Get it right.
I'm just fucking with you.
For me, like again, but I agree though. Like we're talking about before, you sacrifice Jey Uso's Money in the Bank for this, right? So again, just follow through. This should be the main event. It's been so much time, so much storyline, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania thing, like Drew's, like all this stuff has been sacrificed for this show. Like give it the place it deserves. I feel like it should be the main event too. I am looking forward to this match. I'm literally to see how far they're able to take it. But now after seeing the Intercontinental thing, I'm like, can we see Punk take the title off of Gunther? Like, who knows now? But I just think again with Punk, you don't know how long he's gonna last. The duct tape might fall off, so I think you got to ride the wave while you have it. And if I'm them, again, they're all about making money. I'm putting Punk towards that world title because again, your window's closed. You don't know when your window's gonna close with this guy. But yeah, Punk's winning this match. But kudos to Drew. I mean, again, Drew didn't like a spot, and he went to social media. I mean, he's excelled. He got himself paid with this. I mean, Drew McIntyre's having a great year, and he's not going to be hurt by this loss. So I definitely think Punk takes it.
All right, Stampede.
Here we go.
So I don't hate
dramatic.
Punk. I have no interest or use in the man. Or use for the man. I don't necessarily hate him, so I'm completely indifferent to what he does. He's going to win this match, though. Right? Hopefully, they deliver on their promises of I'm going to make you bleed, and I'm going to, So hopefully, they go out as all out as they can in this particular style of match. This match should 100% be finishing the show, right? Because whether you are interested in the story or if you're not interested in the story, they did in fact tell a story over a considerable amount of time to get it here, right? The match that is likely the main event on this card and the pairing that is there didn't, right? Because that story lasted all of a half hour, if we remember right. I'm not signing that contract. I don't want anything to do with the bloodline. Here, give me that contract so I can sign that contract. That was on SmackDown. That took about a half hour, right? So yeah, Punk and Drew have earned the right to main event this and close the show out. They likely won't though, but they should. And hats off to Drew, right? Very, very unsung guy on that roster that just seems to get pushed aside way too often, right? And I wish that didn't happen, but it does. But he'll lose this feud.
Oh, hi. I'm actually not looking forward to this match. I'm not interested in it. I'm tired of these two. It should be the end of it. Obviously, they're going to be pushing CM Punk to go for a possible title run. So it's definitely going to be CM Punk.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the thread on this one.
I'd rather see Drew. I like Drew.
Yeah,
Phil, I don't give a shit about.
I kind of feel like they've, in a way, shitted on Drew for quite some time, and I don't think it's going to be any different on this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not a fan of CM Punk, but I definitely haven't been a fan of his, you can say, backstage antics, and that's what's kind of soured on it. Not that it soured on his character, because I love his character, but yeah, I think for having to go through the trouble of bringing him, well, I guess you can say they never went through the trouble, but obviously bringing them back to kind of take jabs at AEW and everything. Of course, they're going to want to make sure they spotlight this guy now. So I think right now having CM Punk wins probably is going to be more the majority than anything. So I'm going to pick Punk, and we're going to move on to what should be then, as of right now, will be the main event.
Can I throw a quick comment on the last one real quick in there?
Go for it.
If Punk wins, I would like to ultimately just see him fed to Gunther and demolished, and then let Drew win the Royal Rumble and go after Gunther.
It's gonna be
I
John
just
Cena.
want to see Gunther chop the tattoos off Punk. That's all. So,
Put him out for good. God.
change that Pepsi tattoo to a Coke.
Are you humming the John Cena theme, Carlos?
Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's winning the Royal Rumble.
You do some pretty
or The
good
Rock.
acapella there.
I was in choir.
Why don't we move on to the main event match for the card? It will be the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, taking on the very conflicted team of the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. Why don't we start with you, William, because I'm going to save the best for last on these comments today.
The fuck are you saying about me?
Well, no, I mean, God.
The belt's right there, William.
Right? Right there. Well, he's got a point.
Well, use that one if you're going to use any of them.
This is another one I'm not that interested in. The whole Cody and Roman Reigns being involved is just played out to me. I do think, for controversy's sake, given recent losses, that Roman Reigns and Cody do win the match, but I think it will be pretty controversial and it'll push other storylines.
So you're going.
Yep.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to you, Brian.
All right, so we're covering the dark match of Bad Blood after everybody goes home. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, I feel, just pushes the next stage in the feud. I'll be interested to see how many people are in the crowd if this is the last one, and who's really bought into it.
All right. Carlos.
I'm going with the Timu Bloodline as well. I think Roman takes the pin in this one because I think that's how you carry on the storyline for another 20 years.
Before we go to Davey's breakdown, because I'm really anticipating this one. I'm right there with Brian and Carlos. I think Timu Bloodline ends up taking this one. Only because we have War Games coming up here at Survivor Series. And I'm hoping if the direction's going the way I'm thinking it's going, we may see OG Bloodline take on Timu Bloodline. It would be funny to see Timu be the sponsor of this, but I don't think so. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Bloodline on this Stampede.
Timu all the way, 100%.
Free shipping.
Free shipping, except in Indiana. Yeah, the Bloodline's going to win this. Likely Roman eats the pin, right? And like I said, and this is just going to go on and on and on and on. Like, it shouldn't main event, right? It shouldn't, right? The Bloodline, I zoned out of the Bloodline a while ago, to be honest. It was after the Sammy match in Montreal that I realized that this is never ending. Like, they don't have an end for this, right? And I've been proven right. I think it was 2 years ago. Didn't Paul say they were in the third inning?
Yep.
They're still in the third inning. They just said that not too long ago.
I thought it was a year
1.5 years ago. It was after WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
39.
Yeah, it's like the
So
longest
1.5
inning in the history of innings. But yeah, then they'll jettison off into something else, and they still have Hikuleo to introduce, and like whenever they can prize Zilla Fatu loose, they'll get him in there. So They'll just keep adding to it. But for this one, Bloodline's going to win.
All right. So and again, card subject always to change. I still have a feeling that we may get one more match because so far there's only 5 matches on the card. There could possibly be a 6th, only because it's been teased to us for the last month now. We're just going to throw it in there as an extra credit one for all of us who make our predictions. I think the WWE World Heavyweight Championship will eventually happen, and I have a gut feeling it will happen on this card. Champion
Now I want to
Gunther,
watch the show.
yeah, Champion Gunther will take on Sami Zayn. Carlos, if this match does happen, where do you see it going?
Oh, Gunther. 100%.
Brian?
Yeah, I would say Gunther. I see it as it could be a complete squash match, which would allow Gunther to strengthen up his resume and get rid of that little blemish on there of Sammy.
Stampede?
Gunther, the Ring General, will win this. It should be added to the show because they've had a bit of a build for this one. As a sub question, if Sammy loses this in the next several months, does him and his friend leave?
Yeah,
Who knows?
could be possible.
Kevin
I'm not going to
Steen,
fall. I
El-
would, but I'm not going to fall to
El
what they say.
Generico.
But the orphanage is done, and he can come back from Mexico.
Yeah, all the kids are grown now. It's time.
Bring back Generico. Oh. All right, Will.
Not Sammy.
Yeah, I don't see Gunther losing this one. I mean, they booked him pretty strong as the IC champ. You should be booking him just as strong as the World Heavyweight champ. I can't imagine it's going to go 666 days, but
No.
I just don't see him giving it up this early.
Oh, it could.
I mean, we don't. Who knows now?
But
Fuck
the
the
story's
future.
there
We're
to
in
tell
the present.
with Gunther. Like if they flip Braun face, which is likely,
Yeah.
there's one story. If Punk wins, which is likely, there's 2 stories. So there's 2 ready to go if they want to go that way, right? 'Cause I can't think of anybody else on that roster that they built up enough to really be there. It's outside of those 2.
Well,
Seth
somebody
Rollins.
has,
Yeah,
somebody has to
Seth's-
beat Bob Backlund's record at some point.
Seth, and I hate
We
to
got
say
Uncle
it,
Howdy, guys.
it's
Don't
kind
forget
of
about Uncle
fallen into
Howdy. He's
the,
got Uncle Howdy lurking in the back.
Seth has kind of fallen in, and I hate to say it, he's kind of fallen into the Punk category of, how far can you physically trust him now with his knee and his back? Like, he's been hurt a lot in the last while, but he's breaking down, which is a shame. Because, the guy has a lot to offer. So.
All right. And as we're going to start getting toward the end of our show here, I want to thank each and every one of you who came out and listened to us today. Some new faces coming in, Miami the Great, and also the Final Boss Lady. Thank you for joining our live cast here, as well as many of you. Want to shout out Jim over at Fan of the Van, Garrett, who does Steel and Till Talk with Jim, and also Two Dudes Sports News with Jalen. Carlos, did you want to give any shout outs?
Just the usual. I mean, the Sage Up Network. Thank you guys. Everyone who comes into our spaces. Appreciate you guys. But again, just the friends, all our friends, like the people listening right now, anyone who supports us on X, our Wrestling Fan Inside chat room, Flash's Titans, Patrick's Happy Hour, Nate's Plug chat, and then the Primetime Sports Fix content guys. Thank you all for supporting us. Appreciate all you guys.
Oh, I busted it. Brian, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, just thank you, Ted from Ted's Takes. Thank you, Tap Out Talk community. Thank you, Wrestling Fans Insight community.
Stampede.
Same thing. Like everybody that comes into our spaces, kudos to you guys. You make what we do work. Couple special ones. Tim Knockout Hub. They just joined forces, so check them out. Wrestle Dads, Pro Wrestling Bites is another one to check in on. Excellent account there.
No shout outs from you?
No.
Shoutless.
Yeah, Will's very, very
Reserved.
yes.
We can
If
see
you
it now.
can- yeah.
I'll do an extra shout out. Red Pill Beaner. If you're not following him, give them a follow.
That sounds pretty racist.
Hey, that's what he goes by. But they did a space last night that I was in on for a little bit. Very interesting, very well spoken bunch of guys. So check them out.
Also wanted to shout out a couple different accounts to Beth, who goes by, I want to say KSJ. She's running a community group called Creative Crew. I joined that group recently, and it's a very fun little group there. Give her a follow if you haven't. I can get you her handle on the Twitter here as well. Also want to shout out big time to John Pettengrew. Thank you for listening to our podcast as well. Appreciate you. Also, Devin Register. He's been listening to us for quite some time, but finally admitted he listened to us. So, did you guys have any? Let's get into kind of our complete thoughts for the week. Brian, do you have any complete thoughts as far as what we could be seeing from last week and this week?
Really, I am just looking forward to Bad Blood. I felt like they built the pay-per-view or the PLE up very well. And I'm also excited for AEW 5 on Dynamite Wednesday just to see what they do to push towards Wrestle Dream as well. So those are going to be my two main areas.
Awesome. Carlos?
I want to shout out if you guys are, if again, I know there's a good game coming on tonight, but it'll be, again, support the contents on YouTube. There's a lot of good wrestling on there for free. If don't hate watch the current program. Like, it's okay to like watch WWE, fast forward through it, or even AEW. But on that note, Prestige Wrestling is putting on a good show tonight. I think it's on at 6:45. Even if you have to catch the replay, just check them out. They bring a lot of talent in. They definitely deserve your support. Turn the notifications on YouTube as well. But again, it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan. There's a lot of content out there. Find what you love and support what you like.
Stampede?
Quite interested in Wednesday's show for the 5th anniversary, especially obviously the Ricochet Ospreay match. I'm interested to see how that's going to go. Quite interested in the Julia Roxanne match to see how they're going to do that. What kind of Julia are we actually going to get here? So I'm interested in that.
You okay there?
And good luck to Mr. Zack Sabre Jr. On the 14th of this month, he goes up against Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. That man deserves to win that title. He lives and breathes New Japan. So I hope he completes that lifelong journey and lifelong goal in a couple weeks.
All right, we're wrapping it up here. Just a few more things to touch base. Be sure to check out our website, thefansofprowrestling.com. You're also able to check out our live Sunday shows there. Hopefully soon we'll be able to embed our X Space episodes on there. But also check us out over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, which we just found out we ranked number 1 for independent wrestling show, weekly independent show. Number 1. We were number 1 for the weekly wrestling show and number 1 for, I think it was the top indie sports podcast show, which was kind of an interesting stat there. So thank you to everyone who goes back and listens to our podcast. We're also on YouTube at Wrestling Fans Insight. Brian has his Tap Out Talk at Tap Out Talk on YouTube. Be sure to go subscribe to his show, give him some likes there. Also follow us on Twitch. We're there at the Fans of Pro Wrestling. And you can find all of us on X. You can find me at WF Insight Pod. William?
At William Hobby 8.
Carlos?
At CTLOS77, and then at Conquer the No. Also on Instagram, Rainbow Goodness _
And Joe Michigan.
Enjoy Michigan. I just blocked my alter ego. I can only have so many voices in my head. I just blocked him.
Oh, now he's Randy Orton. Oh, wait. Brian?
At D. Brian Adkins. Thank you, guys.
And Stampede. Oh, there
David
he is.
ROBER 7174.
And again, be sure to check out Carlos and Stampede's X Spaces during the week. You guys on your normal time this week?
We're going to be doing I think we're going to stick with Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Yeah. We'll be
Okay.
on Tuesday.
Alrighty. Again, be sure to follow Stampede and Carlos for those X Space episodes coming up. Also, we have started a community for the Fans of Pro Wrestling. Just check it out under my account on the X app at WF Insight Pod. And we also have a group chat on X for the Wrestling Fans Insight. You can get with me, Carlos, Brian, or Stampede on how you can join that group chat. All we ask is just be respectful to everybody and all opinions. And without any further ado, I think we're going to call it good here. Unfortunately, I will not be here for the next couple of weeks, so I apologize. Same with William. He's going to be out as well. But Carlos and Stampede and Brian, I believe they do have some things coming up, so stay tuned for any of our future episodes. And without any further ado, we're going to call it good. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you later.